Călin Georgescu a oferit influencerului preferat al lui Elon Musk un interviu spectaculos pe fosta rețea Twitter, actualmente X. Este interviul care resetează lupta politică. Ce le-a spus candidatul independent americanilor și cum vorbește despre interzicerea imperiului secret al lui Soros, domnilor și domnilor, ascultăm în următoarele clipe și comentăm, evident.
Everything was voluntary basis. Everything. Zero budget.
That's crazy. Like, it just keeps, the more I find out, the more I learn about this, the more I realize how...
And in a way, was very clever, if you allow me, because I convinced the Romanian people to fight for their dignity, not for the money. And with this, the system was changed.
And your campaign manager's office or house was raided 2 days ago?
Yeah, raided by police. Yeah.
And even here in your friend's house, there were police at the door not long ago.
Yeah. It's crazy. I mean, and with this, we clarify that this doesn't exist in democracy. It was absolutely a shock violence, which we find. What we know people. We, with this situation, we expose the corruption. You understand my point? So let me put very clear this. So they canceled the election, yeah? The second round of the election was canceled illegally and unconstitutionally, the second round on December 6th, correct? By chance, the situation was fast that nobody can understand how we didn't realize for the moment because it was a shock, for everybody. But after that, I realized that it's quite fine because during the time after the December 6th, the corruption was exposed and we arrived on the table a lot of things which we didn't believe before that can be possible. The corruption was exposed, correct? Everything was a fake. In fact, it was not anymore. It was nothing. Because otherwise, you can realize that the democracy is running. So justice doesn't exist. Police doesn't exist. The judges are puppets. We find. So it's absolutely... And, I can guarantee to you that is a moment for the people to understand. And this I shall do for sure. To depoliticize the justice system and the secret services. For sure. I shall do that. Because the political parties and the political in general is so deep involved in all the things. They destroy the country. So first, I wish to be the president of peace, exactly as I said many times. And second, depoliticize the justice system, okay? And the secret services, for sure. The problem here in Romania is that the political things in general, the politicians, they politicize everything. Even the driver, the housekeeper.
Why aren't you the president right now?
Because simply the politicians, the political, let's say, frame, they're afraid to lose the power.
And they essentially canceled the elections.
And they cancel for that the election, simply like that. I mean, it's exactly this was happened. And for this reason, I said that definitely I shall depoliticize the justice system and the secret services because they didn't believe that they can lose the power. And the greed as well is huge, more than the fear. So because it's more than the fear, they act illegally.
They don't want to lose the amount of control, potentially the wealth that they
Everything
have.
is related with money. In fact, we know very well that was all the Romanian people are aware that was a coup d'etat ordered from abroad and implemented here by the oligarchy system.
Let's dig into that. You're going right into it. When you say ordered from abroad, Romania is a massive democracy, 20 million people.
Ordered from abroad does mean, first of all, the Biden administration. We know very well. And also it's absolutely official that Blinken from Biden administration was involved here. Also, European Union was involved in this process in order to stop and to cancel the elections. So everybody knows that. It's not something which I give it to you.
Yeah, Blinken, there's a quote from Blinken.
Exactly. So it's just a matter of fact that they are related here with financial system and all this corruption which is here. And of course, they have seen in me the person who can stop all their building.
Yeah, so Blinken was one of the first ones to publicly say that there's Russian interference. Yeah. So that's someone that has nothing to do with Romanian politics.
Of course, it's nothing to do with that. But the point is not only that. The point is that was absolutely an intervention from them, and everybody knows about that.
He says Blinken calls the Russian efforts as, quote, large in scale and well-funded.
Exactly.
Why is Blinken saying that? That's the first question. If you talk about election interference.
The most important is that the Romanian people, they realize, we realize, in fact, all of us, that
the system's corrupt.
Exactly, the system.
Democracy is becoming an illusion.
Exactly, and it's an illusion related to what was happening all this time, because even that was just a milestone basis of democracy, something can be changed.
They cancelled an election. Like, this is the worst it could be.
And nobody make any intervention. You have to understand this. Nobody, any intervention.
Nobody, is no one from the EU?
Exactly.
But one would say the EU had a role to play in this. You have Thierry. Thierry said, former EU.
Yeah. This hero already he discovered, in fact, the puppets movement in EU, correct?
Yeah, so he said, we've got the quote here, but essentially says, we've done it in Romania, we may need to do it in Germany.
Also in Germany as well, yeah. Which in fact...
he was referring to Elon's election interference, which Elon is just posting his opinion online.
Exactly.
That's called election interference. But when Soros funds certain efforts...
Look, the Soros network in Romania will be banned for sure, because did a lot of damage for my country, for my people.
When you're president, you'll be banning?
In the first minute. Just I want to let you know. First minute, no more. Because everything which was made by Soros network was just against not only the democracy, which exposed to be catastrophe in this situation, but the culture, the tradition, everything related with what Romania has, as many other countries, valuable. So Soros and against Soros have to be out from this country. Totally. Totally does mean totally. No discussion, no negotiation. This subject.
So the more I interview leaders across different countries in Europe, that seems to be a common theme of interference by the by Soros' foundation. Can you tell me more in Romania? How does it work? How does someone like Soros or his foundation do this?
First of all, beside these things, which he was the first foreigner who arrived in Romania in 1919. But the most important is that he captured the civil society organizations, and all the projects beside Soros Foundation for the open society, whatever is called it, but separated, all the network, all the NGOs, they were supported by his network with a very clear objective, how we can make a cancel culture. Exactly this what's happened today.
So essentially anyone that rivals their values or their objectives, he canceled them, exactly, as they did with you.
So the point is that everything was in our tradition, the culture, the importance of our valuable nationalist things which we have, they were step by step destroyed. And everything was related with, of course, the West things, was related with exactly what they are looking for, to change everything.
Based on their values.
Exactly, in order to destroy the culture. So now we, more or less, we lost the hegemony of our culture, which is absolutely clear, but not totally, in order to don't resist. Okay, but this was the most important point, again, the culture. And, of course, the education. Because it's the moment when you destroy the education in a country, you capture the country. All right? This is the most important point of the game. So the education was almost totally destroyed. There arrived different private schools, private universities, in general, the system, which was more or less quite very strong. I mean, all the young people and all the generation, which we had universities before, we had very strong values and very strong education in in our professional teams. Romania was a country very well known outside, related with engineering things, with agriculture, with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And now it's not anymore.
You know, Elon had an interesting quote. He said, how can a judge cancel an election and not be considered a dictator?
It's the law, it's a tyranny right now. So it's a dictatorship. And it's a precedent, by the way, for any other country. For any other country in the world, what's happening in Romania. For me, the question mark is how is possible that no intervention, no position, official position from nobody, from European Union.
That's what's crazy. This is
Exactly.
put under the rug.
I don't say for others, but for Europe, it's very important. For us, speaking about the United States, our partnership, Mario, beside any other things, is freedom. Because United States construct the milestone basis for the democracy. And democracy was canceled by those guys. So the partnership, beside economical one, military one, NATO, whatever, is freedom. This United States have to understand today. Because if United States doesn't find a way to fight for freedom, who will fight for freedom?
Anyone listening to this, how?
This is a real partnership, which I'm looking for, with and only together with United States, which I said very clear is the main important partner, which we have, especially now with President Trump and Vance. It's very important because all these ideas are the same. My program, Food, Water, and Energy, you have seen the presentation of not only President Trump, but also of the Secretary of State, Kennedy, regarding the agriculture, regarding food for our children, in order to be not
Maybe to make America healthy again.
make America, exactly, make healthy America again. Exactly this I said about Romania, make Romania healthy again, make safe again. How? With food, with water, with energy. Why I have to import the energy or other things instead to have here? So it's totally nonsense, you know? I mean, Romania right now, 90% of the food is imported, which is not only crazy, it's an attack, not only to democracy, it's a corruption, it's an attack to the economy, to import 90% of the country, which can produce for whole the Europe, everything.
Mr. Georgescu, that segment here, I don't know how anyone could listen to this and call you pro-Russian. You're sitting there talking about how the US fight for freedom is something you want to emulate here in Romania, and they call you a pro-Russian candidate. I just don't understand. Like, for any Romanian listening to this, there's no one that can believe it.
Okay, of course it's a fake, but you have seen also the situation with President Trump before. The same situation was pro-Russia, this was a Russian intervention. It's the same thing. There are small guys which they have nothing to.
I think the media is just dying. I know what.
It's legacy media, it's in a position just to explore only this channel. Everything you are doing against the system, you are pro-Russian.
But obviously based on the poll numbers, even before the casting of the election, people are waking up.
In the moment when you are fighting for the democracy, for the freedom, you are a pariah. And the pariah does mean that you are pro-Russian. I am first of all pro-Romanian. And because you are pro-Romanian, you are pariah. You are immediately you are pro-Russian.
And any pariahs labeled as pro-Russia.
Exactly, this is the point.
And in 2016, we saw the entire media conglomerate target Trump. And then we're seeing the same thing here in Romania.
Yeah, it's absolutely the same situation which we face today.
And they always like to use the word disinformation. That's like the code word.
Exactly.
Anything we don't like.
In the moment when you don't like this, they are starting the disinformation.
Yeah. Whenever I hear the word disinformation, I just get chills now. I know what it means.
Yeah. It's exactly the same story.
The question I have for you is, I wanted to ask you earlier, is who decides those things? So you have 9 judges in the constitutional judges. Who calls them? Who messages them and says, I want you to do this?
The politicians, the Secret Service politicians, I said that I'm totally devoted to depoliticize justice system and the secret services as well. So are only the politicians, exactly as I said to you, and also this Soros network. Soros again, it's
that much influence. So you think Soros network came up? They could have. Like, who comes up with the idea, let's cancel an election? Like, I'm sure there's somebody who's like, all right, what can we do to make sure Georgescu is not president? Let's cancel the election. Who do you think has those conversations behind the scenes?
So first of all, was the, as I said, was the international intervention, Blinken European Union, related with the former president and the civil services here. And they decide to go to the court and to decide.
So you think the US might have played a role? Is it so? Who would you point the finger more
You
at?
have to understand that, well, I cannot say because I have no disinformation, but for sure, which is already public, as we spoke already, Blinken made an intervention.
Very public about it as well.
Because there are, a huge interest. We are talking about money here. We are talking about power. So they don't want to lose this power.
And when you mentioned a few times how the European...
Because I said the power, I said in my campaign, the power is for people. And I said very clearly, myself as president, I serve my nation. I am the employee of my people, not vice versa, which is today. So this does mean the real democracy.
Many people already consider you president.
Yeah.
I want to go back to a quote by Thierry Breton, who's the ex-commissioner, ex-EU commissioner, who said the exact quote, "What was done in Romania may be needed in Germany." That's scary.
Yeah, if we are looking what is going on now in Germany, we can see that there are a lot of interventions. But you know what? European Union is in a very complicated situation right now. And the leadership made by United States now, with a new administration led by President Trump and Vance, demonstrate that we shall come back to the real democracy. So I'm totally devoted and convinced about this.
We're seeing a change here in Europe. Like I've spoken to a lot of people from the Make Europe Great Again.
Exactly, and don't forget all this was a big shift, in fact, already in the United States immediately. You know, talking about the Kennedy file. You know, talking about washing money, talking about COVID situations. All these stuff, those things, they are starting already.
Yeah, exactly. They want to investigate all these.
To investigate all these three things. So already they are starting things which in fact arrive to the deep state. Exactly the deep state cancel the elections here in Romania. So exactly this time we are talking also here.
So this is unelected. How would you could describe deep state? Would you say that unelected officials that make? No, I think I was in Ukraine. I was doing a lot of research into the war in Ukraine, and there's one thing that Putin said a long time ago when he wanted to join NATO. He said, "I meet every single president in the US, but at the end of the day, men in dark suits come and make the decisions. So the president doesn't make any decision." And so that was his way of describing the deep state. How would you describe the deep state?
You know, no more lives should be lost related with the situation in Ukraine and related with the deep state, because deep state control this. Deep state, they are not the globalists. Deep state are the oligarchs. This I can describe, the deep state, which in fact made a lot of problems, even the war, because everything is related with financial system. The head of the snake is the financial banking system. And here we are. In the moment when President Trump changed and announced that will change the financial system, immediately the deep state was failed. And this will happen everywhere, including in Europe. They don't realize that all these things will be changed, but they realize very soon.
We've seen that already with Peter Hegseth, and he's in Poland right now. He landed yesterday.
Absolutely.
And he's already made it very clear, for example, what everyone is thinking about 2014 borders for Ukraine. It's not realistic to imagine those borders again for Ukraine. But no one would say that everyone's too scared. He says that as it is.
It is. So exactly this will happen soon also in Romania. But again, they cannot realize that after so many years, something will happen in...
When it happens to them, no one's expecting
in 1 minute, exactly.
But my question, the reason I mentioned what Thierry Breton said is, are we seeing like a new strategy emerge now? Where if you like with you, they didn't even launch an investigation. They was like, hey, we'll cancel the election and then launch an investigation, which is like another level from Trump. We'll investigate him. He's president, but we're going to investigate him. With you, no. We're not the president. Now let's investigate. But what worries me is that, do you think that this is becoming more of a kind of a sandbox for a test for what can be done to other countries in Europe or even outside of.
I told you could be a precedent. Of course, from my side, I definitely hope to not believe these things, but you have to realize that they are disparates. And because they are disparates, they are trying to do everything is possible in order to maintain their position. So again, it's absolutely similar. In fact, it's copy-paste what's happening in the United States with President Trump. We remember also about all the things. More or less, of course, it's another proportion. This is absolutely clear. But in fact, it's a copy-paste which is happening in Romania in different scale. This is absolutely...
And the outcome is likely going to be copy-paste.
Absolutely. So for this reason, I'm waiting and we are waiting. But meantime, we keep our position. We don't give up. We are absolutely sure that we shall win. We trust in our power, in our heart. We trust and we believe in our land, as I said, and in God. So nothing will change.
I have a whole list of points to go through the evidence, or what they call as evidence of election interference by Russia. But I find it to be very honest. I've gone through it in my interview with Simeon, Mr. Simeon, about 2 months ago now, when it happened in December. And I don't think it's even worth discussing. That's how petty it is. Like, you have a bunch of TikTok accounts that are backing you, which is not that many. It's 25,000 of them. And 130 TikTok accounts generated 1,000 to 500,000 views per video, but there's nothing that shows anything to do with Russian interference whatsoever, any Russian payments, zero.
Let me tell you how I ran this. I made with few friends some pictures. First of all, I remain in the end 3 or 4, like of course, let's say, consider very good. I put on my network, YouTube and social media, yeah. And I said to the people, use how you want, do what you want. We shall win. This is all which I made. This was all the campaign. And of course, I present permanently my program, food, water, and energy. And I said, what we are doing for our life, what we are doing for our families, what we are doing for our land. We have to foster our economy internal. We have to export, not to import. We have to keep the balance.
Common sense.
Exactly. All the things which in fact is absolutely normal in a country which Mario wished to be independent, to be free. For this reason, I said our partnership, this in my mind and in my soul, the partnership in the United States is about freedom, not about other things. From freedom, there are coming the rest of the things. This was my presentation to the Romanian people. And I won with this. Very simple. They asked me in the beginning, the first weeks, how we are doing. I said, how you want? You are free. In the moment when I said to the people, you are free, do what you want, immediately they find a way. I mean, it was not someone who dictated, go to the left, go to the right. Understand my point? I said, how you want.
These are the values I stand for.
So the freedom exactly gives to them the energy in order to run the campaign alone. Exactly, this was the reality.
So this is the definition of a grassroots movement.
Total.
So what's your strategy now? Obviously, I think one important part is getting the message across to the world.
In this moment, I recognize that I arrived to be to lead this fighting for the democracy. But in the meantime, of course, the strategy is to be on the law and to keep the constitutional act to be inside permanently. I keep all the time this situation. Of course, I was also in the street. The people are in the street, but permanently I insist to them to follow the law. I strongly believe that in one moment this will happen. Of course, with my lawyers, we conduct the channels for the justice system to Strasbourg, to Luxembourg, to Hague, also to Venice court. So of course we continue all these things, and nevertheless that we are looking for a support even from Europe or from the United States in order to arrive to the democracy.
From the European Union, that's for sure.
Absolutely. from European Union, but could it be for different countries? For this reason I said, which for sure they can realize the situation.
Have you heard much from Hungary, from Italy, from Meloni?
Well, small things arrive, even from Bratislava. We had something, but slowly. We, of course, we are totally devoted in what we trust in our country. Of course, we trust in our value. We trust in what we are doing. We are free. We trust in what we made so far. So, of course, we are waiting, but normally we have to consider that this, let's say, quiet situation until now from the West countries is not quite good.
Yeah, I agree. I think, but I also feel like it will change.
Will change, exactly. I'm sure about that. And
because everyone was so busy with what's happening in the US and what Trump is doing.
Exactly.
Attention is very limited.
Exactly. It was not quite exactly.
But now I think people are starting to wake up what's happening to Europe. I'm doing on my tour in Europe as well. That's why I said I don't think the European Union would help much. Because I was with your friend, the former Prime Minister of Poland, last night.
Yeah.
And we had a discussion and we went through what the EU did to him and what they've done to Orban as well. And let's just say I don't think they'll be helping.
Yes, but I'm sure also that President Trump will intervene very soon. And I'm totally convinced that we shall have good days very soon.
Do you worry about that they could take it up another level as well? What I mean by this is, do you worry... But, I'm interviewing Prime Minister Fico tomorrow, who was stabbed. I've interviewed President Bolsonaro before, who was shot or stabbed as well. I've interviewed Imran Khan, who's in jail right now. Do you worry that you could be in jail, you could be harmed in some way?
Look, it's a price for freedom. And I'm totally convinced that whatever price will be is for the future, is for the people, is for our history. And I'm totally convinced that whatever will be is for a very credible future for us.
You have security?
Of course, I have a few people totally devoted. And beside that, I have the country and I have God.
I want to go to what happens next. So we've got the elections in May. From now to May is 3 months, long time.
Yes, but we don't consider that.
So essentially what you're saying is that the elections are done.
It's done.
But then how can you fight back? Well, obviously getting some foreigners.
We are prepared for everything. Yeah, no problem. We are prepared. But new elections, there's been another fraud even bigger than what's happened.
They'll have more time to prepare.
Exactly. We are fighting for the second round, and here we are right now. But again, we are prepared for any situation.
I want to talk quickly about a movement we're seeing in Europe, something else. George Simeon is playing a key role leading that movement, is the Make Europe Great Again. We're starting to see a grassroots movement, using the word grassroots, an organic movement by, I don't want to call them conservatives, but those that oppose the centralization of power that we're seeing in the European Parliament. Can you tell me more about just a general sense we're seeing across Europe after Trump's win in the US? And also one other thing I noticed is that movement is also very fractured. Like I would expect a lot of them to come rallying in your support, but I don't know why I feel that Trump's done a great job rallying all that support and all these mostly conservatives, but also a lot of liberals. You know, RFK was a liberal, Tulsi was a liberal, Elon was a liberal. So anti-establishment, those against the system. And he rallied them again, behind him, and Elon did a great job also kind of getting a lot of support behind them. Why don't we have that in Europe? So I want to get your comments on the Make Europe Great Again movement and the whole sense in Europe after Trump's win, and also why it's so fractured.
Look, President Trump launched a very important principle. Take care about your country. Let's make business, but fair. Fair does mean fair, not with political intervention. This is very easy, okay, as principle. And of course, he put into practice this, and of course, start the investigation, all the things which already discussed. For European Union, it's a very complicated situation because they know very well what they did so far. And honestly speaking, after so many years, we have to look at the results. This is a very important point, exactly as you are looking for the fruits. They are sweet or not, which just mean I can take care, I took the fruits or not. I mean, it's important how we are related with the results. And the results of European Union, in the moment where we are talking about that, it's a very complicated situation because we cannot see so many results. Also, we have in mind what's happened with Germany. How is the situation of Germany today? It's definitely the engine of the European Union, and it's not anymore. The situation of economy in Germany is absolutely a disaster. And look the situation of France. How many governments they failed already with Macron. The situation is disparate in general in Europe, and it's not any possibility to see a help from European Union, which even European Union itself is in a very complicated situation.